Let's talk about DC, shall we? And more precisely, the universe's currently ongoing efforts to try and rebrand itself, recreate itself, reforge itself? No. To undergo a bit of a rebirth. Yes, that's a better term for it. To be reborn as something other than the poor man's Marvel, which is very much so DC's current status. DC wants to be something more than merely second fiddle to their once neck-and-neck competition. It's actually a bit ridiculous to think about, but when I was but a young lad, DC and Marvel were pretty much neck and neck. If anything, DC might have been like edging ahead a little bit here and there, because we entered into the more like era of dark and gritty superheroes, and DC did that a lot more and better than Marvel. It seemed to many to be a more grown-up style of comic book in a time when we were asking ourselves the question, should we have our geekdom media grow up? The answer to that, by the way, was a resounding no, but oh well, details. So, what spurred this on is, there was a little bit of a recent soft rebooty kind of style thing with Black Adam, and here we have, of course, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who played the titular main character of Black Adam in that show. And in this video, he's talking about how he had to really fight to bring back Henry Cavill as Superman, which is an interesting topic in and of itself, since Henry Cavill is Superman right now, there's no doubt about it. And if there was any doubt as to his acting chops, and there were during Man of Steel, then The Witcher should have dispelled that problem quite thoroughly. So whatever resistance there was to him coming back as Superman, it must have been something other than whether or not he fit the role, in my opinion. But it's not really the topic of today's conversation, because the interesting thing here is, of course, that The Rock talks about this in very much so the long view kind of way. Now, he's running a lot of defense for Black Adam in this video here, because Black Adam did not do very well at all. It had an opening weekend of, I think, 60 or 70 million dollars, somewhere in that kind of general ballpark. Then it hit 162 million during a slow Thanksgiving weekend, and the latest numbers I found came at November 20th, saying a global box office total of 366 million. Now, the movie cost 195 million to make, so it hasn't lost money, which is good. You know, that's always a nice place to start with. But 366 million on a $195 million investment is not a good payoff, especially as a lot of that money is, of course, also still going to be disappearing as well in ever smaller cuts to actors, to investors, etc., etc., etc. Let's call it a 100% benefit, right, is not actually that much. And with a movie the size of Black Adam in the DC universe, you should be expecting a lot more than that. Or, well, should you? That's kind of the question, isn't it? Because this places it actually at the bottom in Metacritic score, whatever that matters, of the various DC entries. As you can see, there are a few standouts, like the Suicide Squad had a 72, but Shazam as well, 71, which surprises me because that movie was goddamn boring. But the majority, as you can see, did not do particularly well at all, with the Wonder Woman being another standout exception to the rule there. And that pretty much exemplifies DC there. Low to middle average at best, and that's about it. However, Marvel is beginning to lose steam as well, as is Disney. Their recent Stranger World being a painfully diverse mega flop set to lose $100 million. Like, Black Adam earning $100 million, or less theoretically, but you get my drift. That is disappointing. A major Disney animated movie losing $100 billion? Whee. That's not even a bomb. Yeah, that's a nuke. So DC absolutely has an opportunity here. And there's also the recent merger within Discovery and Warner Brothers. There was an article, this was released November 15th, so it's quite a while ago now, I've been kind of keeping it under my hat, but he talked about how when he arrived at the studios, etc., he was kind of surprised that, well, how shabby everything was. Like, the entire structure of it, the long-term planning, the production, the talent, a lot of it was really, 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 really bad. And a lot of the background marketing decisions as well were apparently outright terrible. And I can believe it. Considering DC's history, they clearly haven't been thinking too much about what they're actually going to be doing with any of this, much less so putting any effort into actually making quality products. And there's, of course, the big thing now, isn't it? How do you rehabilitate DC right now, considering its absolute garbage history? You are first and foremost going to have to overcome the expectation that a DC movie is going to be ass, and Black Adam did not do amazingly well in that regard. So Black Adam's primary point, if we want to take The Rock at his word, and I see no reason why not at the moment, was to establish Black Adam as a big danger, a big power dude inside the DC universe, and then starting to kind of build the universe back up again, with Superman being another key core component. And that isn't a terrible idea, because if you've got somebody like Black Adam, who has... like, he's a villain, sure, but he has motivations. He's not just evil. He wants to protect his people, which, incidentally, is a talking point I think is going to be very popular in the not too distant future, incidentally. And you put him up against more goody two-shoe characters, but whose, how do I put it? Whose moral absoluteness might put them on collision course with what Black Adam considers to be the best thing for his nation. You could write some interesting stuff around that. Now, the problem is, you're immediately heading back in the direction of making these superheroes morally dubious, which I am not a fan of at all. You should be avoiding that like the plague. Because if you want to really rehabilitate DC, what you need to do is give us our heroes back. And that is one of the reasons why I'm even doing this video, because I am a little bit intrigued, you see. Because when Henry Cavill showed up at the end of Black Adam, his suit had colours in it. I pointed this out already, but that was a stark departure from the really boring suit he wore in A Man of Steel. And in all due likelihood, this is Henry Cavill's influence, as he has said quite specifically that he was going to do Superman if they were going to do Superman correctly. So let us assume that he has the courage of his convictions, and I see no reason to doubt that as of yet, especially if you believe the rumours that he quit The Witcher precisely because the writers were abusing the character and the show and the story. Then he has clearly managed to gain a certain amount of leverage at the company, and with a massive ally like The Rock on his side, who was the person who managed to get him in the door in the first place, apparently, then there is every possibility that Superman will actually return to being Superman, instead of that kind of sort of pseudo dude in Man of Steel that ended up killing someone in his very first return to the big screen, which was... But, anywho. And it does appear as if there is now willingness within the company to actually take part in that restructuring. This is, however, where we run into another bit of a problem. And so one of the first things that DC needs to do is stop doing this right here. So this is Cyclone. She is a ginger. And you know what I'm going to say next, don't you? Yes, the ginger genocide is real, as this is, of course, Cyclone in the Black Adam movie. Stop it. This also is Hawkman in the Black Adam movie. Stop it. You have black heroes. Bring the black heroes instead of race swapping the white ones, because this is an immediate red flag for anyone like me who... See, even if you did this, okay, let's assume here, this was done with the best of intention. And honestly, this guy, didn't look up his name, so sorry. But he did a really good job as Hawkman, actually. I do not have a problem with his performance. And if this was if this was 20 years ago, I might look at this and go like, you know, he was probably the best guy for the job. Today, I have to see the politics in it, because it is everywhere. We know for a fact that it is the stated reason for many decisions like this. So don't do it. Cast him instead as, John Stewart. There you go, a perfect alternative right there. You can also have Cyborg, though I consider Cyborg to be a really goddamn boring hero, but that's just me. He's probably beloved by everybody else. You have characters that would work already. You know, you've got them. Why not use them? And as well, a lot of the DC characters are old. Ridiculously old. And that's not necessarily a problem, but it certainly could be. In the case of Superman, taking a fresh stance on Superman and actually making him the hero, going back to the Lois and Clark days, that would work. That would absolutely work, because we haven't seen that in so very, very long that even Superman could feel like a breath of fresh air. But when you've got characters like Batman, for example, who had a decent recent movie run and is he's a typecast character at this point. The Batman is always the broody, grooming, Batman groomer. Now that would be kind of horrifying. The dark and gritty brooding hero. That was what I was trying to say there. You're kind of stuck. So with him, you need to take him in some kind of radically different direction, and incidentally, you've got the perfect solution for that as well. Terry McGinnis, Batman Beyond, I want to say. I watched this on Cartoon Network like, I don't want to think about how many years ago. But that was awesome. You could absolutely do that. And again, it would reinvigorate Batman a lot. Now, please do skip the spoiled teenager arc, because we don't need more superheroes with, well, racing children problem. So give us a Terry McGinnis, give him a very brief origin story, a super brief introduction, and then just get right back into the cool gadgets, because that's something too. Gadget movies. I saw an article on this a while ago, basically lamenting the lack of gadget movies these days. And you know what? He's bloody right, and that might be one of the reasons why Maverick did so incredibly well, because Maverick was simply a movie about a cool action plot using cool machines to fly around the sky going meow and firing missiles and shit. Awesome stuff. Well, you've got an excellent opportunity with Batman Beyond. He's got a whole robotic suit, for God's sake. Give him all kinds of cool-ass toys and gadgets. Give him back the fucking utility belt, another thing that Batman just basically hasn't had for ages. And make it just a cool bat flick, you know? This would be a wonderful way to, again, begin to reinvigorate DC quite a bit. And again, just make Terry McGinnis white. Just, seriously, quit it with the race swaps. We know why this is happening. We're not idiots. It's been like 10 plus years of this. You're not fooling anyone. Even in the cases where you do get someone who does very well in the role, we're still gonna look at it with a bit of a squinted eyes, you know? It's simply how it is. Maybe in another 10 years that isn't gonna be the case, but it is now. And if you do want black characters, fantastic. Get the good ones. There you go. Simple as. And of course, you're gonna need a major restructuring. Now, Warner Bros. Discovery is already doing this. They are purging the wokest within their ranks. They are firing writers. They are closing diversity initiatives. Now, they did backtrack on that one diversity initiative, but that seems to have been what I was kind of talking about at the time, where they were seemingly just kind of taking one thing and then rolling it into another so that it can go like, oh, no, it's still there. It's just in a dark room somewhere. Which is good, but this is a purge level thing here. You can't just fire one or two groups. You've got to go Elon on this bitch. You've got to go deep and you got to clean out everyone who isn't contributing. Whoever made bad decisions in the past that resulted in, well, this list of things. Fire, 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 and then fire again. And whoever came up with ludicrous shit like Peacemaker, which was actually pretty cool, despite its ridiculous bonkerness, keep them around. Oh, and the, Suicide Squad actually had was it? Oh no, it's there. It's a Bloodsport. So Bloodsport was played by Idris Elba, I want to say, but I'm kind of like doubting myself there. And you've got Peacemaker by John Cena. The two of them had fantastic chemistry. More of that. Their competitions about who could kill people in the most ridiculous ways was beautiful shit. More of that, less of this. Less of, you know, this. Less of, oh god help me, this. The first Suicide Squad. I'm grateful it got a sequel, because 2 was a hell of a lot better than 1, but ouch. And, of course, this. Do not make Batman v Superman the second movie in your Superman series. That is retarded. Very much so. You've got to warm up the character a bit before that, but, well, considering the Man of Steel as well, maybe they figured they didn't have time, but take The Rock's advice on this, because what he stresses again and again throughout his video is that this is a long-term effort. They are building something here. This isn't supposed to be a one and done thing. It's supposed to be a tower built from the ground up to actually create a dynasty to compete with the one that Marvel has already built. And that is probably literally the only way they are going to, because Marvel, despite many of its recent flops and despite Disney itself also underperforming massively over the last couple of years, they're still in the lead by a lot. And simply waiting for them to collapse is not exactly a proactive solution, so best of luck to DC, honestly, because I would love to see some actual competition in the superhero market, because honestly, I don't think it's that people really have all that much of superhero fatigue. I think it is that people have fatigue of the same shit over and over again. And there is plenty of opportunity to do superheroes, but not the same shit. At least that's how I view it. Do let me know what you think in the comments section down below, and as always, I have been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.